The Sturmpanzer, also known as Sturmpanzer 43, is a German armored infantry support gun based on the Panzer IV chassis used in the Second World War. It was used at the battles of Kursk, Anzio, Normandy, and was deployed in the Warsaw Uprising. It was known by the nickname Brummbär by Allied intelligence, a name which was not used by the Germans. German soldiers nicknamed it the Stupa, a contraction of the term Sturmpanzer. Just over 300 vehicles were built and they were assigned to 4 independent battalions. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The Sturmpanzer was the development of the Panzer IV tank designed to provide a vehicle offering direct infantry fire support, especially in urban areas. It used a Panzer IV chassis with the upper hull and turret replaced by a new casemate-style armored superstructure housing a new gun, the 15 cm, developed by Skoda. It fired the same shells as the 15 cm heavy infantry gun. 38 rounds, with separate propellant cartridges, could be carried. The combined weight of the shell and cartridge, 38 kg for an E-shell and 8 kg for a propellant cartridge, made the work of the loader arduous, especially if the gun was elevated to a high angle. An MG-34 machine gun was carried that could be fastened to the open gunner's hatch, much like the arrangement on the Sturmschütze 3 OSF-G. Early vehicles carried an MP-40 submachine gun inside, which could be fired through firing ports in the side of the superstructure. The driver's station projected forward from the casemate's sloped frontal armor plate and used the Tigerized Fahrersicherheit driver's sight. The fighting compartment was, albeit poorly, ventilated by natural convection, exiting out the rear of the superstructure through 2 armored covers. Side skirts were fitted on all vehicles. Early vehicles were too heavy for the chassis, which led to frequent breakdowns of the suspension and transmission. Efforts were made to ameliorate this from the second series onwards, with some success. In October 1943, it was decided that the Sta 43 gun needed to be redesigned to reduce its weight. A new version, some 800 kg lighter than the Sta 43. Some of the weight was saved by reducing the armor on the gun mount itself. This gun was used from the 3rd production series onwards. Zemaric coating was applied to all vehicles until September 1944. Production of the first series of 60 vehicles began in April 1943. 52 of these were built using new Panzer IV OSF-G chassis and the remaining 8 from rebuilt OSF-E and F chassis. Survivors, about half, were rebuilt beginning in December 1943. They were mostly rebuilt to 2nd series standards. Production race started in December 1943 with another 60 vehicles, using only new OSF-H chassis, and continued until March 1944. The Sturmpanzer's baptism in combat at the Battle of Kursk proved that the driver's compartment was too lightly armored and it was reinforced. The gunner's hatch was removed and a ventilator fan was fitted, much to the relief of the crew. Internally sprung, steel-rimmed road wheels replaced the front 2 rubber-rimmed road wheels in an effort to reduce the stress on the forward suspension that was only partially successful. Production of the 3rd series ran from March to June 1944 with few changes from the 2nd series. The Fahrersicherheit was replaced by periscopes and the lighter Sta 43-1 was used. The superstructure was redesigned in early 1944 for the 4th series, which used the chassis and HL120T RM112 engine of the OSF-J, and was in production between June 1944 and March 1945. It featured a redesigned gun collar, as well as a general reduction in height of the superstructure. This redesign also introduced a ball mount in the front superstructure for a MG-34 machine gun with 600 rounds. The vehicle commander's position was modified to use the cupola of the Sturmschütze 3 OSF-G, which could mount a machine gun for anti-aircraft defense. The first unit to take the Sturmpanzer into battle was Sturmpanzerabteilung 216. It was formed at the end of April 1943 and transferred in early May to Amiens to train on its new assault guns. It was organized into 3 line companies, each with 14 vehicles, and a battalion headquarters with 3 vehicles. It arrived in Central Russia on June 10, 1943 to prepare for Operation Citadel, the German attack on the Kursk salient. For this action, it was temporarily assigned as the 3rd Battalion of Schwerspanzerjäger Regiment 656, Heavy Anti-Tank Regiment 656, under the command of the 9th Army of Army Group Center. It remained in the Oral-Bryansk area until its transfer to the Dnipropetrovsk-Zaporozhye area at the end of August. Its vehicles were refitted there and it remained there until the Zaporozhye bridgehead was abandoned on 15th of October. The battalion retreated to Nikopol, where it helped defend the German salient there until it was withdrawn back to the Reich at the end of December. The Allied landing at Anzio on January 22, 1944 caused the battalion, fully independent once more, to be transferred there in early February with 28 vehicles to participate in the planned counterattack against the Allied beachhead, Operation Fistfang. This failed in its objective, but the battalion remained in Italy for the rest of the war. The battalion still had 42 vehicles on hand when the Allies launched their Po Valley offensive in April 1945, but all were blown up to prevent capture, or loss during the retreat, before the war ended in May. Sturmpanzerabteilung 217 was formed on April 20, 1944 at the Grafenwöhler training area from cadres provided by Panzer Company 40 and Panzerersatz 18. Although it did not have any armored fighting vehicles until 19 Sturmpanzers were delivered at the end of May. It departed 1/2 of July for the Normandy front. It had to detrain in Concerneur, some 170 kilometers, 110 miles, behind the front lines, because the Allies had heavily damaged the French rail network. Many of the battalion's vehicles broke down during the road march to the front lines. The first mention of Sturmpanzers in combat is on 7th of August near Caen. On 19th of August, the battalion had 17 Sturmpanzers operational and another 14 in maintenance. Most of the battalion was not trapped in the Falaise pocket and managed to retreat to the northeast. It had only 22 vehicles in October, which were divided between the 1st and 2nd companies. The surplus crews were sent to Panzerersatz 18. It participated in the Battle of the Bulge, only advancing as far as Street Vyth. It was continually on the retreat for the rest of the war and was captured in the Ruhr pocket in April 1945. Sturmpanzer Company ZBV 218 was raised in August 1944. It was sent to Warsaw, where it was attached to Panzerabteilung, FKL 302. It remained on the Eastern Front after the Warsaw Uprising was suppressed and was eventually wiped out in East Prussia in April 1945. It was supposed to have been the cadre for Sturmpanzerabteilung 218 in January 1945, but it was never pulled out of the front lines to do so. Sturmpanzer Company ZBV 2.218 was raised simultaneously with Sturmpanzer Company ZBV 218, but was transferred to the Paris area on 20th of August. Nothing is known of its service in France, but company personnel were sent to Panzerersatz 18 at the end of the year and were supposed to have been using the formation of Sturmpanzerabteilung 218. Sturmpanzerabteilung 218 was ordered formed on January 6, 1945 with 3 companies with a total of 45 Sturmpanzers, but it received Sturmgeschütz 3 assault guns during February instead. Sturmpanzerabteilung 219 was originally to be formed from Sturmgeschütz Brigade 914, but this was changed to Sturmgeschütz Brigade 237 in September 1944. In mid-September 1944, the brigade transferred to the Dollersheim training area to reorganize and re-equip. Only 10 Sturmpanzers had been received when the battalion was alerted on 15th of October to participate in Unternehmen Panzerfaust, the German coup to forestall Hungary's attempt to surrender to the Allies. All the vehicles were given to the 1st Company and it departed for Budapest on the following day. Bomb damage to the rails delayed its arrival until 19 October, by which time it was no longer needed as a pro-German government had been installed. It was moved by rail to Street Martin, Slovakia for more training. The battalion was transferred to the vicinity of Stolweissenberg to relieve trapped German forces in Budapest. It remained in the vicinity of Budapest until forced to retreat by advancing Soviet forces. Effective infantry buster. When it comes to an engagement, Brumbar will usually wipe out the opponent infantry in 2 to 3 rounds, and for most of the cases, even a double Panzerschreck Panzer Grenadier squad or an anti-tank gun will not be able to kill Brummbär before it kills themselves. The 40 kilograms shells does not even need to penetrate the armor but sends most light vehicles back to their unassembled stage straight away. Can upgrade with a pintle-mounted MG42 for quicker infantry termination. When firing on moving infantry squads, predicting their future position with attack ground command is a good idea. Brummbär cannot attack an area within the fog of war, however.